I used to think that wasting a life required something dramatic, a betrayal, a slammed door, a confession that shattered everything in a single night. But that's not how it happened for me. It happened slowly, quietly, respectably. My name is Arthur. I'm 74 years old. And I wasted 41 years of my marriage without even realizing I was doing it. If you had looked at us from the outside, you would have seen stability, a house paid off, 2 grown children who visit on holidays, a marriage that lasted longer than most. People used to say, "You two made it." I used to nod and feel proud. Now that word "made it" feels heavy, because you can make it to the end and still miss the point entirely. My wife, Eleanor, died 5 years ago. Heart failure, quick. They said peaceful. They said, I suppose for her, it was for me. It was the beginning of a very long reckoning. 3 days before she passed, she looked at me with a kind of clarity I hadn't seen in years and said, "Arthur, you were always here, but you were rarely with me." I remember blinking at her, confused. I had been a faithful husband. I never strayed. I worked hard. I came home every evening. I fixed what broke. I handled what needed handling. I thought that was what a good man did, but presence is not the same as partnership, and loyalty is not the same as love. When we were young, Eleanor was restless in the best way. She wanted to see the world. She wanted to learn photography. She wanted us to dance in the kitchen without music. She used to pull me toward the window when it rained and say, "Listen to that. It sounds like possibility." I would smile and kiss her forehead and say, "Maybe this weekend became maybe next year became someday." And someday quietly expired. I told myself I was being responsible. We had bills, deadlines, college funds, retirement plans. I believed sacrifice meant postponement, that love meant security, that if I built a safe life, she would feel cherished inside it. But safety without spontaneity becomes a cage. The shifts were small. They always on. We stopped taking evening walks because I was tired. We stopped trying new restaurants because the usual place was easier. We stopped talking about dreams and started talking about schedules. She would start a sentence with, "I was thinking," and I would respond before she finished, advice instead of attention, solutions instead of curiosity. I thought I was helping. What I was doing was closing doors. About 10 years before she died, she asked if we could take a trip across the country by train. Just as she said, "No plans, we'll figure it out as we go." I laughed. At our age, that sounds exhausting. She didn't argue, she just nodded. I mistook her silence for agreement. It was actually resignation. We rarely fought. I used to believe that was proof of harmony. Now I understand it was proof that she had stopped expecting more from me. She adapted. She found book clubs, photography groups, friends I barely knew. She built pockets of joy that didn't require my participation. I told myself that was healthy independence. In truth, it was distance. When she got sick, everything sharpened. Hospital rooms have a way of stripping away your illusions. The monitors don't care about your pride. The fluorescent lights don't flatter your excuses. In those final weeks, we talked more honestly than we had in years. Maybe urgency forces truth to the surface. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the parking structure outside her window, she said, "I don't regret our life, Arthur. I just wish we had lived it wider. I've replayed that sentence 1,000 times. I thought depth came from duration. 41 years should count for something, shouldn't it? But length without intention is just time passing. After she died, the house felt unfamiliar, not empty unfamiliar, as if I had been walking through it half awake for decades and was only now fully conscious. I found a drawer in her desk filled with postcards, places she had wanted to visit, notes written in her careful handwriting. When Arthur slows down, when work isn't so heavy, when we finally choose us. I was always going to choose us, just not that day. Reading those words felt like standing trial in a courtroom with no defense. I wasn't cruel, I wasn't unfaithful, I wasn't neglectful in any obvious way, but I was complacent. I assumed she would always be there. I assumed love, once established, required maintenance only in emergencies. I treated our marriage like a structure already built, instead of something alive that needed tending. Eleanor once told me years ago, "I don't want you to do things for me out of duty. I want you to want to do them." At the time, I thought that sounded romantic but unrealistic. Life is duty, I believed. Romance is optional. Now, I understand that wanting is the whole point. If you're listening to this and thinking, but I'm a decent partner, so was I, decency is a low bar. You can clear it while still starving the relationship of energy. When was the last time you surprised your partner without a special occasion? When was the last time you asked them what they're dreaming about now, not 20 years ago? When was the last time you looked at them and truly saw who they're becoming? These aren't poetic questions, they're practical ones. I would give anything to go back to an ordinary Saturday and say yes to the train trip, to put down the newspaper and ask her to show me her photographs, to sit on the porch and listen to the rain, like it was possibility again. I thought love was proven through endurance. It turns out it's proven through engagement. In her final days, she squeezed my hand and said, "Don't wait to feel alive with someone." That wasn't an accusation, it was a warning. Now, I sit in a quiet living room filled with furniture we chose together, and I realize that time was never scarce. Attention was 41 years, sounds like abundance. It felt like abundance, but abundance without awareness can still leave you empty. If you share your life with someone, do not confuse routine with connection. Do not confuse loyalty with intimacy. Do not assume that because they are still beside you, they feel seen. Ask them questions you don't already know the answers to. Say yes when it would be easier to say no. Choose inconvenience if it leads to closeness. Protect your bond with the same seriousness you protect your income or your health. Because one day, the ordinary moments you kept postponing will be the ones you ache for. My name is Arthur. I was married to a remarkable woman for 41 years. From the outside, we looked successful. From the inside, we were comfortable. Comfort nearly erased the best parts of us. You still have time to live your love wider than I live mine. Don't wait for a hospital room or a quiet house or a drawer full of postcards to teach you what attention could have saved. Be there, but more than that, be with them.